Hey guys, it's Aggie K, Money Mindset Mentor, and I decided to switch it up a little today and do this live stream from the beautiful beach near my home. It's a little bit windy and I'm a little bit cold, so I may move it into the car. But I wanted to hook you up with day 4 of the wealth consciousness training, live stream training that I'm doing. There's so many words in that title that I have that I've forgotten what it is. I think it's essential money mindset laws. If you guys can hear me, let me know. If it's too windy, let me know. And I will back it up to the car. Hey Heather, how are you? So today's training is about letting go of the big G. And if you have an idea of what the big G might be, let me know. Guys, it's too windy and it's too cold. I'm going to go head back into my car. But I had this great plan of doing this live stream from the beach, except it's always windier by the beach. It's always windier by the water. But it's pretty. So today's wealth consciousness training is about letting go of the big G. Anyone have an idea of what the big G is that I'm talking about? That could be stopping you from stepping into your wealth consciousness? Anyone? Have a thought? Let me know. I am talking about guilt. Guilt with a capital G. And if you're human, if you're watching this and you're human, then you have probably experienced guilt before. If you are human and grew up with a parent, you've probably experienced guilt of some kind. If you have children, you may know something called guilt. And this is a huge piece in wealth consciousness, guys. If you're just joining me, this is day 4 of the live streaming training. And I guess I can show you my face now that I'm not outside. And I'm talking about letting go of guilt. And this is a huge, huge, massive piece to allowing wealth, and especially wealth online in your own business and not from an employer, because you have to let go of guilt to receive on that level. You really have to let go of guilt to receive on that level. To receive money from people, to take money for what you are good at, to take money for what comes easily for you. All of those things that we do online, especially, when you're not providing like a product necessarily, but a service, something that you do that comes easily for you, that's always has always come easily for you, and something that you enjoy doing, you have to release guilt. And that is a tough one. Because when we release guilt, we're releasing a lot from our money story. We're probably releasing a lot from our parents' money story. You'll notice people who are wealthy or wealth conscious or have wealth consciousness rarely feel guilty about spending money on things they like, spending money on things that make them happy, spending money on the best of something. You'll notice they rarely feel guilty about how good they are at something. They won't be trying to downplay that, right? There's no guilt about, I should just do this for free because it comes so easily for me. Well, my argument to that is that you're probably not allowing the fullness of your gift to come through, because when you do, I can tell you, like, people who come to me and say, I want 20 clients. I'm like, do you have any idea the level of energy output that giving to 20 like one-on-one clients is at a really high level? When you're really offering value, it does take from you. it does take from you, which is why people start charging more and more and taking less and less clients, because they start recognizing the more they step into their gift, the more they step into releasing guilt around what they do, the more energy that it takes, right? So letting go of guilt, letting go of the big G is the day 4 lesson, the day 4 training. And I want you guys to think about that. What your level of releasing guilt is. Like, when does guilt start to kick in for you? Do you feel guilty spending money on a daily basis? Do you feel guilty looking at your expenses? Do you feel guilty charging people? Do you feel guilty being really happy all day? Notice when guilt pops up for you, because it is a roadblock. It is 100% a subconscious roadblock to making more money. You have to get comfortable in that level of receiving. And guilt has a lot of money story, it has a lot of family loyalty to it, has a lot of sacrifice kind of stuff, like, you shouldn't have more than others, you shouldn't be smarter than others, you shouldn't be more successful than others. It's a way of keeping you in your place. It means giving up being the sacrificial martyr, which serves a lot of us. If we're the caregiver, if we're the providers, if we're the caretakers, that's a big role to give up. So today's training is really about recognizing where guilt is popping up for you. If it's around receiving more, right? Because you're doing all the right things, but you can't seem to receive more. Well, then subconsciously, like, that doesn't feel right to you. There's something wrong about that belief. Which is why it's not coming down the pipeline. So releasing guilt and noticing when you do things that make you feel guilty. You've been happy all day and you're kind of like, I wonder when the shoe's going to drop. You charge, you're putting out your prices and you notice, like, oh, some people can't afford that. Maybe that makes you feel guilty. Doing really well and then noticing friends or family members who aren't doing really well can put a cap on your income. So take a look and notice where guilt pops up for you, because it will slow down your ability to make money. Notice where guilt pops up, and if it's like a default, if it's a default emotion for you, then it's a great place to beat yourself up, to feel guilty about the good in your life, to feel guilty about feeling good, about having good feeling thoughts, about having good feeling emotions. Like, maybe there's a guilt around that, because to be humble is to not be happy all the time. Maybe that was the message growing up. So you really have to dig into your programming here, do some journaling, do some tapping, do some investigation of, like, what was the relationship to guilt in your life, in your family history, in your money story. And you'll probably notice a pattern that at a certain level, that you can charge a certain amount of money and then you can't charge more. That you can sell a certain amount of things and then you can't sell more, because the guilt thing pops up. That's the big G that I want you to look at. What is your relationship to guilt? Because your relationship to guilt is going to be in direct proportion to your relationship to receiving. Okay, guys. So do that today. Day 1 was about getting an order on every plane of your life. Day 2 was about getting into alignment on every plane of your life. Day 3 was about living from a place of non-reaction. And day 4 is about uncovering the big G and what role guilt plays in your life. So if you made a lot of money, how would that make you feel guilty? What would you then feel like you have to do? Who would you feel like you have to provide for if you made more money? Who would you have to take care of? What debts would you have to pay back? Who would come to you asking for money if you made more money? What things would you then be able to afford that might make you feel guilty if you can't do it, if you can't support someone? or didn't want to, would that make you feel guilty? There's all kinds of subconscious reasons that guilt pops up, that is saying don't make more money because it's going to activate more guilt. And if your parents made you feel guilty, or you grew up in an environment where it was normal, to feel guilty for having too much ice cream or having too good of a time, or, that there was something wrong with that, you really have to expand, through self-observation, through self-study. You got to expand your ability to enjoy, right? Like the opposite of feeling guilty is really not feeling guilty, and really enjoying, and really being present, and really being in the moment, and really being in control of our thoughts, right? So, and really being in alignment, that releasing a lot of the old stuff, the old patterning, where guilt kicks in at a certain income level, guilt kicks in at a certain level of like, things are too easy, things are coming to me too easily, and so I'm going to try and make this harder because something about this doesn't feel right in my programming. So if this makes sense to you guys, let me know. If you have questions about this, let me know. Work through your big G today, and I will see you tomorrow for the culmination of day 5 in this live stream Wealth Consciousness training. Love you guys. I'm Aggie K. Share if this resonates for you. Lots of love on this beautiful day. Bye.